At this point, we're going to move on to a public hearing for a Research and Prevention Tobacco Tax Act enforcement grant to include identification of problematic retailers, ordinance compliance inspections, educational training, and shoulder tap operations. So I'll open the public hearing right now. Public hearing for this proposed research and prevention tobacco tax enforcement grant to include identification of these items I just mentioned is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on the issue, please step up to the podium and state your name, maybe your work address.
Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor Harris and members of the council. My name is Brian Thornton. I'm a sergeant with Yuba City Police Department. I'm here speaking on behalf of the police department in regards to a grant application that we applied for in October 2018. The grant is focused on targeting underage tobacco use, both in retail establishments throughout the city and those that would choose to put tobacco in the hands of minors within the city. After applying for the grant, we received award notification that we were subject to receiving the allocation of the money in the amount of $53,895. The grant runs in accordance with fiscal years 18-19 through 2021 and would require us to reapply for future allotment of money. The request and recommendation is that we create or utilize an already existing finance account to accept funding in order for us to use that money to accomplish the goal of targeting the underage tobacco use through education and enforcement, both with our youth within the city, the schools, and at the establishments throughout the city.
All right.
Do you have any questions?
Through the mayor.
Yes.
One of the questions I had on this particular grant is to know if you're planning on partnering with Sutter County Tobacco Control and Health on some of these initiatives, because they receive additional funding as well, and they're doing some sort of the same type of initiatives that listed on this particular grant.
I know to this date, there have not been any discussions in regards with partnering with Sutter County, but always it's the determination of the police department within the city that we're more than happy and willing to work with other local agencies and government in order to meet both common goals. So I would be speaking partly off of my own opinion and based off of conversations with the chief of police that if we're afforded the opportunity, yes, we'd be happy to work with Sutter County, but there's been nothing discussed as of yet.
Yeah, they have a committee, Sutter County Healthy and Safe Communities or something to that effect, and it's part of a tobacco initiative that they have, which is in the community and part of it also in the schools. So as you're looking at, I was just reading through the combat of the operations of underage tobacco smoking. Are you also looking at electronic devices?
Yes, ma'am. It's consisting of anything tobacco related to include what's commonly referred to as vaping or your common use cigarettes, cigars, things of that nature. It's our hope and our goal to work with the cadet program within the police department and help educate at the schools, utilizing our cadet advisors, and then also utilize the volunteers throughout the cadet program to assist us in both educating but also conducting enforcement under the supervision of law enforcement.
So you'll be looking at the specific vaping stores and other those types of local retailers?
Yes, ma'am. We've identified 17 tobacco retailers and 3 vape retailers within the city.
Okay. My final question is on, will you be reviewing it states here ordinance compliance and inspections. Would you be willing to then provide us the specific ordinances that you'll be looking at within the city so we have a understanding if we're in line with those ordinances, or do we need to relook at them as a city council? You know, I'd like to have your feedback and input on that. That would be helpful.
Yes, ma'am. If you would like us to assess the ordinances and based on the information we obtain while doing the enforcement and identifying the different retail establishments, if we identify that there need to be adjustments to the ordinances, it's something we can absolutely provide you.
Yes, I would really appreciate that. Thank you, and congratulations for getting this grant. We're seeing so many vaping issues within the school systems that it's really becoming, truthfully, an epidemic that needs to be, I think, given a lot more attention to. So thank you for doing what you're doing in the community for that. Great job.
Else?
I do.
Go.
Sergeant Thornton, did you write the grant request?
I did not write the grant request. That was completed by Sergeant Michelle Brazil.
Okay. Are you the one that's going to be implementing it?
Yes, sir. I'll be implementing, supervising, and providing all of the reporting back to the federal government and back to the city in regards to the ordinance request.
I just wanted to applaud the police department for seeking this alternative method of funding to accomplish something so important as Councilwoman Espandola talked about. So thank you.
Through the mayor. First of all, we all know that it's an epidemic that is getting out of control, especially with the flavored tobacco products and stuff in the vaping industry now. Do we know how this grant could possibly be impacted? The state's looking already at banning flavored vapes because of kids and the packaging and stuff. Sacramento just banned the vaping as well, effective January 1. If the state was to take that action, do we know if this grant money would disappear or still be here for the next 3 years? Do we have any information on that?
We've been afforded the money through fiscal year 2021 as long as we accept it. And it is for the purposes of research and based on the taxes associated with tobacco. So it's research that we're going to be providing back to the state in order for them to make the determination to discuss what you're relaying. So I don't foresee it being removed because they're requesting us to conduct the research on their behalf in order to make a sound decision, which is also why we're going to have to reapply for it if we want future funding after the end of that fiscal year.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Anything else?
I have a follow-up, one more question. So you're developing a plan as of the result of this money to then potentially apply for further funding, right? Is that what you just stated?
It's first and foremost to identify the problem areas within the city and deal with those issues as we find them. Secondly, we're going to report back to the state with our findings, but then we'll make an assessment to determine whether or not and how it is we're going to proceed from there with future grant proposals or requests. Right. At this point, I can't attest or answer to what our intentions are going to be after year 2021 until after we've had an opportunity to go through the process.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you're planning for possible other future funding and potential other interventions that could be brought to the city and to our community. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Through the mayor, just one final question I failed to ask. When do you have to reapply? Because you said you have to reapply. So is that annually coming up every fall, or when do we have to reapply?
No, sir. We would reply at the end of the 2021 fiscal year.
All right. Thank you.
Good. All right. So anybody from the public care to comment on the issue? It's been kind of a hybridized public hearing where we had staff presentation embedded in the middle of the public hearing. But we will fix that right now. Seeing no comment, we'll go ahead and close that and come back to council for action.
I motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the chief of police to accept $53,895 in grant funding from the Research and Prevention Tobacco Tax Act of 2016 through the California Department of Justice and approve expenditures recommendation associated with identifying and deterring violations involving underage tobacco use and or sale. Keep it shorter next time. Whew. And B, authorize supplemental apportionments in the amount of $53,895 to revenue account is 100-43-116 federal law enforcement grant into the division of 2187 for travel trainings and supplies. Is that it? Whew.
It's easier just saying ABC.
Maybe I'd like to read
I'll
them
second
all.
it.
Thank you.
I have a first and a second to approve staff's recommendation. All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Sergeant.
Thank you, Mayor Harris and the rest of the council.
Thank you.